Hi everyone, and welcome back to Umbrella's Digital Changemakers podcast. My name is Luke Golds, and I'm the head of cloud operations at Umbrella Technology Group. Today I'm joined by Microsoft Data, AI, and Fabric specialist Neil Macdonald, and we're going to talk about all things Fabric and AI and everything to do with data infrastructure and reporting.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. How do you describe Microsoft Fabric to a potential customer?
Microsoft Fabric, I guess in simple terms, is a just end-to-end SaaS data platform. So everything from ingestion of data, ETL, analytics, and then on the end, AI. It's probably the simplest way to put it.
What business problems is Fabric designed to solve?
So if you think of organizations that have always struggled to get insights into their data in a timely manner, they need it in real time. They've got people spending a lot of time building manual reports. Fabric is a great tool as a SaaS product, again, just to be able to help bring that data to life in an easier way and give them insights. And it's, again, a platform to then build on to do AI applications or anything on top.
I guess who's the most ideal sort of customer for Fabric?
I would say anyone. As a Microsoft salesman, I would say anyone. But I think, anyone that's trying to get insights from their data, or, if they've got reports that take, you think of the old SSRS reports that take a while to pull together. You've got finance teams spending, 4 hours every Friday, or for a board report, spending a lot of time building those reports. I would say those are good candidates. But also, anyone with Power BI, to be honest, is an absolute no-brainer. If you've got Power BI, the natural integration there just makes that a perfect fit. But
if you've already got some form of data warehousing set up with maybe a traditional method, do you think it's worth making a shift into Fabric if your business is currently run that way?
Definitely. Yeah, there's a whole lot of advantages. The world we live in now with so much unstructured data, there's so much insight that you can get from being able to incorporate that unstructured, not just structured data. So if you've got that traditional data warehouse, there's usually an easier path to migrate into a modern lakehouse approach and then be able to get sort of rich insight from your data. So absolutely, I think those are prime candidates for Fabric.
As a business, how would you know that you're ready or you should go into Fabric?
So if you've got needs from the business to be able to, if you've got people within the organization saying, hey, we can't get insights to the data, or, if you've got your head of marketing coming in with some numbers and head of sales coming in with different numbers, and you need that one source of truth, then, Fabric or any data solution like that is generally needed. If you don't have access to data, so you've got a whole lot of unstructured social media data and you go, we don't know what our customers are thinking of us or about particular products, then again, that could tend to be signs that you need some sort of modern data estate.
How does Fabric compare to its competitors like Snowflake or Databricks?
It's a tricky one. We love a lot of those guys. Databricks is a first-party product, and so, in fact, in a lot of cases, we see them working together. I guess the difference is, as opposed to being a standalone data warehouse or a lakehouse, Fabric is an end-to-end data warehouse. So structured, unstructured data all in one place gives you that single source of truth, of course, with that security wrapper as usual with Microsoft around it all. So I think the differentiator is that we can handle both data sets as well as all in one place. So if you're wanting to do machine learning, if you're wanting to get analytics, it's all in that one tool. And there's no sort of proprietary format that we lock customers in with. So if you want to get access to AI models, if you want to expose the data to anything else, you're able to do so without, having to convert it from one format to another.
What's the core, business value proposition of Fabric to business leaders?
I guess speed to insights. So, being able to, you think of in the past, having to build a data warehouse was always quite a big, timely and a large cost generally to be able to build that environment, ingest multiple data sets. Being a SaaS product, it's a lot easier to ingest that data. For the data engineers, the ability to be able to process and build pipelines a lot faster. For analysts to be able to create those reports, that whole process is just reduced. So it just makes it a lot easier for decision makers and business owners to be able to get insight.
What's your approach for identifying opportunities for Fabric?
Yeah, again, I sort of think everyone is a good candidate. If you're a small business, solo entity, just yourself, there's a SKU that's a few $100s a month, an F2 SKU. And if you're a huge sort of global entity, there's a massive SKU to be able to incorporate. So as a SaaS product, it's very scalable. So regardless of your size, you're able to all get access to a shared compute. So there's a whole lot of engines within Fabric, that data processing, analytics, AI, Purview, the governance and security side of it is all built in, and it's just a shared compute model. So if you've only got a few data sets and a few small reports, it's not going to cost you much. Whereas if you're big multinational and you've got a wide range of data sets that you're incorporating, you're doing a lot of transformation, there's a lot of demand on reporting, then again it can scale. And I've genuinely seen that, small sort of F2 instances right the way up. Well, I don't have any of the F2048, I think, is the largest one. But anywhere from $300 to $300,000 SKUs.
So it'd be quite easy for a smaller business that might just have a few sets of data to get some reporting and analytics out of it.
Exactly. And for a lot of those small businesses in the past, building a data warehouse just never made sense to them. You couldn't justify, the
having a giant SQL server or something, yeah.
Exactly. It just didn't make sense. Whereas now, because it's a SaaS product, the ability to ingest that data is so much easier. Even if it is only 2 or 3 data sets, it becomes a lot easier as a SaaS product to do that and then to be able to get insights. So yeah, I think more so than ever, it's opened it up and leveled the playing field.
Everyone seems to have heard about Fabric. It's the fastest growing Microsoft product, but I'm not sure that everyone actually knows what it does and why it would be useful for them. They've probably heard it, but how would anyone get into it, or what's the first sort of steps to go to get into Fabric or understand it?
I've never seen a data product that's been, or sort of any product that I've worked with that's been as popular as Fabric has. The adoption, and I'm not sure how much of this I can share, but I'm going to share it anyway, is we across ANZ have got nearly 25%, 24 point something percent of customers in my part of the business, that corporate part of the business, that have adopted Fabric. I mean, if you think the product's been around for 18 months, it's been generally available, to have 1 in 4 customers that already adopt it is just amazing. And I think the popularity has been a misconception with Fabric, is that it's an expensive tool. It's a SaaS product. It does it all. Therefore, it's going to be expensive. And it's actually quite the opposite. So a lot of customers start off with a proof of concept. There's a free trial that's available. And so it's a 60-day free trial, which gives customers the ability to ingest a number of data sets, start to create reports, use that end-to-end solution, which it is, sort of from ingestion, the ETL, transformation, creating reports, and then off the top of that, start to build on AI solutions.
Do you need a data scientist on your workforce to actually start utilizing this and building these reports and getting this data in?
Microsoft Fabric being a SaaS product and sort of AI infused all the way through just means that it's that much easier. My technical specialist always jokes that it's so easy to build that even Neil could do it. And so I think it becomes that much easier for anyone in an organization, as AI has helped us all level up and do things that we probably couldn't remember or couldn't do. The same thing applies. So, for data engineers to be able to build those pipelines at scale, to be able to, use natural language to query data for analysts and BI users. So I think it's made it that much easier, and you don't need, these huge data science teams to be able to build it or to create these reports.
What are all the components that make up Fabric?
So there's a number of different personas that we try and cater for, and there's a number of different, we call them engines or experiences within Fabric. So data engineering to be able to build those pipelines, to do the ETL, the analytics, so access to Power BI, co-pilots within Power BI to be able to automate and use natural language to create and not interrogate, but query your data. There's Purview, which is a really popular experience within Fabric, which allows you to have lineage, data lineage, security, role-based access, so that compliance and security around your data that's in Fabric, as well as ML Studio. So there's natural integration between Fabric and the AI Foundry. So you get this one single source of truth with all of these different engines. And again, it's a shared compute. So you're not saying, okay, well, how much do I need for my data ingestions? What's the DTU that I need? How do I, how many licenses do I need for Power BI? How much do I spend on my, Azure build for the machine learning studio? You're not having to worry about all these different components and billing it. It's all part of a shared compute. And you just scale that up and down as you need it.
So all those components come into the one cost.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So Microsoft pricing can be a bit of a dark art at times, is the classic joke. You need a degree in Microsoft licensing. I think Fabric is genuinely very different from that. It's pretty straightforward, and I don't know if we're going to have any little pop-ups on this, but there's just a whole lot of SKUs. So from an F2 right the way up. And it's just a shared compute across all of those experiences within Fabric. So end-to-end data platform.
Right. So as your data grows, would the cost of Fabric go up?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's say a customer or a business has heard what we've been talking about, and they're like, yeah, that sounds great. Let's go into Fabric. How do they get ready, and how do their partners help them get ready to make that move into using Fabric?
I think Microsoft is blessed to have the partner ecosystem that we do. Organizations like Umbrellar are critical in terms of you've got to earn the right to be able to get there. And so having that foundation in place, having the infrastructure, the Azure infrastructure set up to be able to have that role-based access, to be able to have the data piped there securely, is critical for us to then be able to do anything on top of that. So I think partners are critical. And the expertise that you get from engaging with a partner is massive. These guys do it day in and day out. You guys are experts in this space, probably know it better than we do in a lot of cases. You're in the tools every day and you know it. So I think there's a huge head start that customers get when they engage partners because of their expertise.
So also with AI being, the big topic in the world, and I think businesses still aren't really sure how to implement into that business. How can Fabric also, I guess, be implemented with AI or integrate with AI to help businesses?
Again, I've got another sort of good example. We had an organization that were looking to use AI telephony solutions to be able to help handle some of the easier calls that they get, which was basically rebooking GP appointments. So, Luke calls in, he's got an appointment next Tuesday at 10 a.m. He wants to move it to Thursday at 2 p.m. Handling that call is pretty easy for a lot of these AI agents. It's not sort of some of the agents you think of in the past where you call them up and, it doesn't understand, it's trying to put you through to finance, or you want to buy a new house, or, the level of understanding is pretty slick with these agents now. And so what we find is that we go, okay, right, we're going to solve for that problem. And in this case, we were actually using ChatGPT 4.0 as the model. And, yes, the business signed off on it. It was very attractive. The payback period was about 3 or 4 months. So they said, yep, great, we want to do this. Let's go. And as we went through that build process over the 3 months, of course, the AI models that were being released just didn't stop. 4.0 Mini came out, and we were able to do the same thing. In fact, better understanding and sort of efficiencies for a fraction of the price. So that cost dropped by more than half, about 75,000 a month it was going to cost them, down to about 45 in the end to use the different model. And so again, they built everything within Fabric. All the data in the application was stored there, and then they just changed the model. So we had already gone through the build. You think of an old process where you go, okay, we're building this application. To switch in and out of model would be, pretty timely, pretty expensive to do. The way that we design these applications, modern applications now, mean that you can just flip out those models as they become more efficient and effective.
Is there an easy way to know which model you should start with or where you should begin with in terms of AI modeling?
That's a good one, a tough one. They're really, and honestly, I was in a hack the other week, and there were a whole lot of sort of experts in there, and we all assumed that this model was going to be the best, or that was going to be the best to solve. And in this case, we were trying to identify microinvertebrates. And as I say, we all made assumptions on what models would be the best. And in the end, the model that was the most efficient and from a cost point of view didn't even compare to how cheap it was the custom vision model, pre-built models that already exist in that foundry.
Right.
So that tends to be the harder part, is trying to find the right model. And, it involves a lot of testing. There is ways to automate that. With 2,000 models, you can't sit there and train your data against 2,000 models and look for what is the best. You need to be able to narrow that search down.
Is it easy to flip models when you're already, let's say you've become very heavily invested in using ChatGPT-4?
Yeah.
Is it easy to flip models if you decide that maybe something else is better fit or better suited?
Yeah, I mean, I've got to be careful saying easy because I'm not the one in the weeds doing it most of the time. But
just tell someone else to do it.
Exactly, but it is generally pretty straightforward. As I say, that example I gave you was a real example, and within a couple of days, we had trained Mini 4.0 Mini to be able to outperform 4.0. So yeah, it becomes pretty straightforward, and that's the way that it's going to go. I mean, we're adding to that catalog. I was presenting a couple of months ago, and there were 1,800 models in the foundry. This week there's 2,001. And they just continue to release models, and it's not just the Microsoft ecosystem. There's DeepSeek's, there's your fridge and freezer provider LG, have models. So there's a whole lot of models that are in there. Llama, Hugging Face, everything. Is all in there, but it's just got that Microsoft security wrapper around it.
Right.
Gives you that peace of mind.
What's Microsoft's approach with a customer for implementing Fabric and AI together?
There's a common misconception that Microsoft only has co-pilots, and which is true, and they're amazing. And if you have a problem that you're trying to solve and Copilot solves that, it's the best way to go. You don't need to build anything, write any code. It's out of the box and it'll solve for that. But I think what's often overlooked is the extent of the rest of our AI. So we had an AI studio that we've now renamed to the AI Foundry. And it's got over 2,000 models, 2,001 models as of yesterday in there. And it's not just Microsoft. It's OpenAI, Llama, Hugging Face, any of the AI models that you might see as popular or you need, with a Microsoft security wrap around them. So as you're building these AI applications, you can ingest or use these models, LLMs, across your data to be able to help solve business problems.
So with AI interwoven into Fabric, are there any risks or concerns around governance that customers should be aware of if AI is going through all of their reporting data or statistics?
Definitely. And, security should always be front and center. Unfortunately, and in fact, a lot of the bad actors using AI more to be able to get access to data that they shouldn't. So governance and security, as usual, has to be sort of forefront of every conversation or every design. There are some concerns. So, for a lot of New Zealand companies, having access or access to AI models is restricted because they want their data to remain in New Zealand. So some of the a lot of the co-pilots can't guarantee that the processing of that data can be done in Australia or New Zealand. Some of it can go off to machines all over the world. So that can be an issue for some organizations. There are ways around that. If we use the AI Foundry to be able to expose the model to your data in your tenant, that's a way to guarantee that it doesn't go anywhere. But that can be a concern for some organizations as Copilot processing that data offshore.
Do you have any examples of use cases for AI?
Definitely. It's I think I said it earlier in terms of earn the right. And I love that phrase because I think you've got to have that data in a way that you trust it, it's gold standard, in a way that you have a security wrap around it, there's the right governance, people can't search and get access to information they shouldn't. So I think it's really important to get that ground foundation level set up and then to be able to build AI. And so Fabric is the data tool for the era of AI, is sort of how we talk about it internally and how it's positioned to the world. So it's the building block for that. And how we see a lot of organizations use that is once they've got that data housed and secured, then they start to go on and build AI models. And that could be, I gave an example of a telephony solution where, organizations connect in their call center or their telephony, CRM, patient information to be able to then use agents to go between those tools and help serve customers better. There's examples where we use knowledge mining across your existing data to be able to, if you're a insurance company and you want to be able to ensure that your agents are giving the right information or feedback, checking what the documentation or policies are and validating what the agents are saying is a great way to help with that, as well as fraud detection is another really popular use case.
Would you recommend, if a customer has an existing reporting system or data warehouse, that if they wanted to dive into the deep end of getting AI across that data, that they should migrate into Fabric? Because that would then, I guess, because of all of the integrations that are within Fabric and with AI, do you think that would be the easiest way for that business to take the plunge into getting AI across all their reporting data?
It's a good question. I mean, you could just use Fabric if you wanted to. So instead of rebuilding this data environment, as easy as I've made it sound, if you didn't want to go through that process, you could get a live view. So Fabric is the first multi-cloud data warehouse. So you can get access to data on premise in Google, AWS, Azure. You can get access to any data. And again, have that single source of truth. So if you wanted to be able to get a live view of the data from a data warehouse, and then be able to build AI models, you could. Of course, you could, if you needed to modernize that data or enrich it with unstructured data or other data sets that weren't in the data warehouse, you could then maybe just do that part within Fabric. So yeah, there's a few different ways to skin the cat.
Okay. So you don't need to pull all of your data into Fabric to have Fabric be utilized across your existing data sets?
No, and actually that's a common use case, is that we see there's a lot of the mirroring features and functionality in Fabric, which it almost excites me the most, I think. There's a whole lot of innovation within Fabric. I think we roll out updates every 2 weeks. And that laundry list every fortnight it's hard to keep up with. But I think the stuff that's popular to customers is the mirroring functionality. So not having to do an ETL, not having to, write pipelines to be able to go get access to your, whatever SQL data set, data warehouse, database, but to be able to get a live view of that in the cloud to be able to report off,
right,
is obviously really popular. And again, we talked about how it makes it easier for end business users without having to write code to be able to ingest and then transform the data. This is just an easy way to get a view of that data and then start to, even in natural language, query and build reports.
Yeah, what is the common journey for a business going into AI, and maybe Fabric as well interwoven into it?
Common mistake we make is that, we dive in and we go, the board or the business has asked for us to get transcription, for example, on these calls, or for us to be able to solve this problem. And we dive in the past and we start to, of course, the technology can do it. But I think it's really important to qualify everything. There's no point having Mike Tyson mow your lawn when your 14-year-old nephew can do it for a fraction of the fee. Yeah. So I think you've got to get the right model for the right case. And so we've actually had an example recently where a customer said, okay, this is the problem we're trying to solve for. And we went through the process. And in the end, the cost of AI versus what they were spending, it just didn't stack up from a return on investment. So, obviously it got cancelled. So I think it's really important upfront to qualify what it is that we want to achieve. And then we tend to look for things like, is there a bottleneck? Is there an area of the business that's is a big expense? So, I mentioned the call center before. Is there an area where there's something that's very manual and, you've got a user doing something that takes too long to create reports, to be able to get confirmation of a request through? Those tend to be the areas that we say, okay, this is a good area that we think AI might be able to solve for. And then we quantify that. We do a business value assessment, bring in generally a partner to be able to say, hey, this is what we're thinking. Let's workshop it out. Let's figure out what it would look like, give them a total cost of ownership. And then they can make a decision as an organization. Okay, if we do build this, what's the problem we're solving? How much is it going to cost? And is it actually worth solving this problem, so that we don't go through that lengthy exercise and just throw AI at everything? There's definitely the right tool for the job.
How does a business know that it will have something in its environment that it can use Fabric and AI for to make their business more successful?
Yeah, I mean, you and I as technologists know that the technology will do the job. I think the most important part is to solve for that business problem. So the most successful AI implementations that I see or I've seen within my sort of set of accounts is, I think, first the call center. I've already touched on it, but I think that's a really popular and and good use case to be able to solve for. So if you've got large numbers of calls, it doesn't even have to be that large a number of calls, but if you've got a lot of calls coming through that call center and they're not, if they're doing somewhat mundane tasks, then AI is a good option to be able to solve for that. The ROI on that generally stacks up pretty well. Other popular ones are, sort of document processing. So, if you've got an insurance company and you've got claims coming in, being able to process documents. Again, whether it's scanned documents, and we've had this, which in terms of ROI really stacked up well, where you've got receptionists scanning documents, digitizing it, then typing it out into their forms. Huge cost to be able to do that. The payback period to be able to scan a document and to get, digital notes is a really popular use case. If you've got anything like that, again, that would be a really good use case. And the third use case that tends to be quite popular is the knowledge mining. So, if you've got huge SharePoint or repositories and you're wanting to surface up, or if people are spending a lot of time searching, trying to find the right document, whether you're trying to serve that up to agents while they're on the phone or real estate agents that are visiting someone and you're trying to serve up relevant information, house sales in the areas, those are also really popular, that knowledge mining. So exposing the LLM to your own company data and serving up your own co-pilots is also a really popular one.
What are some of the most creative and advanced implementations you've seen?
A funny one for me, and it was probably, if you asked me where AI was going to be popular a few years ago, I would have said one of the last places was with aged care. But within a set of accounts I look after, we've got a lot of aged care customers. And it's surprising to me the adoption of AI within aged care. So you've got bots that are, sort of talking to the elderly and helping keep them engaged, telling them when to take medicine, what the dose is. We've got connected AI to the cameras. So we've got fall detection on a lot of the cameras, hazards. So again, probably not an area I expected to be talking about with AI, but it tends to be a really popular area, and the elderly sort of tend to like that. It's helps them. Certainly from a dementia point of view as well, sort of keeping them engaged and conversational. There's a whole lot of stats around that. So, that's probably a surprising area, but one that I've seen.
And I didn't think that would be what you would mention as aged care. Yeah. With this being such a fast and rapidly evolving place in IT, what's the thing that you're most excited about that you've seen evolving in the space, and what are you looking forward to?
You're 100% correct. In terms of the speed of innovation, product's been around for about 18 months. There's updates released every 2 weeks. As I mentioned, there are a laundry list of features and updates. I think the exciting stuff within Fabric for me, and I don't know if everyone's going to agree without understanding it well enough, but is the mirroring and the shortcut functionality. So being able to get access to data that you would have previously had to pipe in and transform and cleanse and get it up through that medallion architecture. Being able to get live views of that data is really popular with customers. And I think the more that we do that in terms of rolling that out or making it available to more applications or other databases, I think is going to be really powerful. There's a good laundry list that we have that are being released. I can't share too much of that just yet, but there's a lot of critical applications that we'll be able to get live views of shortly. So I think that's popular. And the AI space, I mean, it's nonstop. The level of understanding, you look at where AI has come from, and just recently the spike that we've had in terms of AI understanding, that conversation that you can have, the level of understanding of what you're talking about is just growing and growing. And being infused within Fabric, the AI features being infused within Fabric to help you with your data ingestion, your pipelines, querying within Power BI with copilots to get analytics or data information, I think is also really popular. So that would probably be it for me, was the shortcuts.
So what I'm hearing is that Fabric is building third-party integrations into off-the-shelf products like SAP, or if I think of an example, a lot of businesses use BrightGauge because it can plug into different different tools to pull, reports across. Is Fabric gearing itself into that space as well?
Exactly, making it that much easier to get data out of mission critical applications is absolutely the focus, and we've started with obviously our own products first, eat your own dog food, and so getting access to SQL and a lot of our own non-SQL other databases has been the first cabs off the rank. And we're also now trying to connect into, as you say, sort of other third-party applications to be able to give that live view. There's a lot of value for customers in. It's quite hard in a lot of cases to get data out of that mission critical application to be able to get insight or to report on. So that's
getting the data out and then structuring it into the correct way and then having something plug on top. But if you're building something that does that for you automatically, then I think that would be a huge value add to customers.
Exactly, without needing this big dev team to pull stuff out of a complex ERP or CRM system. And it goes both ways. So it's up and downstream. So if you need to take information out and get some reporting, build an AI application on top of that, you need your customer data to build this telephony solution or whatever. So you need a data out. But then as you're doing that and you're changing the example of making bookings, changing bookings, if you want to feed that information back into then your CRM or back into anything, getting data going both ways is also critical.
Is there any other features that Fabric are looking to build on that similar to this third-party integration that people might not have known about?
So, I mean, you think of Fabric and it hasn't just come about in the last 18 months. It's been an evolution of a whole lot of technologies. So, Data Factory, the pipelines and transporting data, the data warehouse, the lake house, all sort of evolved to one lake. So there's been an evolution, Purview, the same evolution of a whole lot of products into the SaaS offering, where they were previously IaaS or SaaS offerings. The one feature or engine, as we call them, experience, that is new and is turning out to be pretty popular is the RTA, the real time. So being able to get, again, I'm giving another sort of call center example, but if you've got live calls and you're wanting to get a view of customer wait times, agent handling times, agent idle times, things like that, to get a live view, again, can be pretty hard. But having this shortcut or mirroring functionality means that you get real-time data and you can then create workflows from that data. So that is actually a really popular way. And previously, or other examples, really expensive to be able to get that real-time view. Being able to do that in a cost-effective way to get insights to real-time data, telemetry, as well as other real-time data is it's a big focus. It's a new feature in Fabric, and it's a big focus of investment.
What do you think is hindering or scaring people from making the leap into AI?
I think for a lot of organizations, it's the unknown. So, having not used AI, it's obviously new technology, not having enough awareness about it tends to be, okay, well, we'll just wait and watch what everyone else does and we'll follow suit. Tends to be the common objection or delay that I see with customers. And obviously the easiest way to figure it out is to get in there and to have a play. It's more readily available than it's ever been. So I think, there is so little excuse, and competitors are doing it, right? Your organizations, industries, roles, everyone is being disrupted by this. Your CEO, Ian Hassel, always used to use the term that the train has left the station. And I think that's certainly true with AI, is that that technology is there, it's left, people are using it, and to avoid being disrupted, I think organizations should start to have a play with it.
Neil, it's been great to have Microsoft's Fabric and AI specialist on Umbrella's podcast today. I've learned a lot, and I hope our customers and whoever's listening to this podcast has learned a lot about it as well.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I love partnering with you guys. You do amazing work. Kiwi organization and doing incredible stuff. So yeah, my pleasure, my absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.